the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved.
Well, hello, YouTube people, friends, countrymen, internetonians, lend me your ear. Come on in. Allow me to spin you a tale as old as time. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I'm here, and I rhyme, and that's all that matters. Welcome to the show. This is Untethered Live, and I'm your host, Jake Johnson, and this is Untethered Live on a Monday night. That means Bible study. Yep. Great book of Deuteronomy, chapter 23:12. That's where we left off. That's where we're picking up. Come on in. Take your shoes off. Set a spell. Let's have a good time tonight. Hey, Caucasian Sasquatch, right off the bat. Greetings and salutations, my friend. I raise a glass in your general direction. How are you? How are things? What's going on with your bad self? You're thinking of starting a new channel, Lawrence of Utubia. I hear you, brother. I hear you. Go ahead. Go on. I think you can make it work if anybody could. I can't keep up with the one I got. I don't think I can handle two of them. Anyway, it's a beautiful day. It's a Monday. And Mondays are always eventful and fruitful. You know how that is. Anyway, I had a good stream last night. It started off slow and picked up in the end. Kind of like that. I don't like showing up when nobody's here like it was last night. But, things happen. People got things to do. Can't always be here on time. But that's all right. They'll be here tonight. Got a new subscriber last night. Welcome. I'm good, says Caucasian Sasquatch. I'm going to Dublin Thursday. Hopefully I'll come home with a van that looks like an ambulance. I hear you, brother. Drive that ambulance and drive it with pride and pull over and help people occasionally. That's what I'd do. There's a truck for sale at the end of my road that I haven't stopped to see what they want for it yet, but I'm looking at it. It's a white Chevrolet. Kind of a early 2000-ish ESRV. Yes, emergency Sasquatch response vehicle. I like it. Or you could just paint it white, tint the windows, and then take a black magic marker and write on the side free candy, and then mark out candy, and underneath it write Wi-Fi. That's what I would do. Because I'm a freaky guy like that. But I would definitely have the van, the creeper van. Way ahead of you. I like it. Can't wait till you get it. You have to show it to me. Did you hear my new intro song? What did you think? I picked a new intro song because YouTube decided after 5 years to start copyright claiming me on my intro song. Free Wi-Fi with drugs and quotes. Yeah. I like it. You missed it? You want to hear it? I think it's appropriate. Here, check it out. idea. What do you think? Is it me? For some reason, every time I hear that song, I reach for my pistol at my side. I don't know why. I feel like the big iron is coming at me. I want to get the contraponies and get the hell out of here. Voila. I think it's time to go. It does need a whistle. I think you're right. I think I'm going to have to record a whistle for it. Something. We'll figure it out. I miss them old Westerns. You guys ever watch Westerns? I miss them. They were the greatest of TV schlock. But they were good and wholesome. Make a man out of you. Put some grit in your gut, you know? And they just don't make that anymore. I miss it. I just realized. I knew it. Y'all are over there listening to me breathe. I'm sorry. I didn't have my noise suppressor on. Apologize for that. You can hear me swallow and all kinds of stuff. Show me Sasquatch. Whoop. Come on in. Welcome to the show. Now I got 2 Sasquatches in here. Kind of dangerous. Living on the edge. It's like a MMA cage fight. Sasquatchy Sasquatch. What do you think? Just as long as the Sasquatches don't get scatological. Anyway, got a good show planned for you tonight. We are going to continue a story that we started last night and see where it takes us. That story is the story of the law. The law, we've been examining little pieces of it as we go, and hopefully we're getting something out of it. Nope, we would just get high. I was going to fight a squatch, but then I got high. What? Sea Squatch. Yeah, I like it. Like C-SPAN, but all squatch all the time. And tree knocking. Before we get into Bible study, I have a joke for you. I'm notorious for telling wonderful jokes, by the way, so I'm quite the jokester. So I thought you would enjoy this. Caucasian, this is for you. Pardon the French. What does not buzz and does not tickle your ass? A Soviet-made buzzing ass tickler. That's a great joke. It's probably the best one out there. I heard it this afternoon. I loved it. That's the best I can do. I'm not a comedian, folks. You came to hear me wax poetic and be intellectual, not be funny. Because I'm not funny. Can't do it. Not a funny guy. Unintentionally funny, maybe. Now, Caucasian is funny. Ain't real smart, but he's funny. Okay, I'm proud of you. I tried, right? It's the effort that counts. I'm just kidding, though. He's probably one of the smartest people I know. Anyway, onward and upward. Ironic, isn't it? Yeah. Yes, it is. In the literal sense of the word, not the figurative one. The song is the figurative ironic. This is literally ironic. Come on in. We got about 3 more minutes and I'm going to get started. Because I don't like reading just 2 people. Oh, there's 4 people now. Excellent. One more. Come on, people. What else do you have to do on a Monday night? Have you seen MVTV, Caucasian? I hadn't seen him in a while. Actually, I haven't checked my email. He may have emailed me today. Let me do that real quick. Nope. Not a word. Not a word. I wonder if he got mad the other night when we were talking about my heart thing. Because he seemed to be getting mad, and then he disappeared, and I hadn't heard from him since. Of course, he might just be, in town. But I don't know, so I figured I'd ask. You know me and making people mad. I have a tendency to do that. Can't help it. It's in the DNA. This week, we're starting a new segment we've been doing past couple of weeks, and it's been going over pretty well. It's called How a Musician Learns a Song, and where I invite you to pick a song, and then I'll learn it right before your very eyes, preferably one I don't already know. And it's pretty interesting. It also makes for some good music. So join us on Wednesday when we do that. And on Friday, we just kind of hang out and chit-chat and talk about whatever, kind of like we're doing right now. But on Sunday and Monday, we tend to get a little serious. We talk about real stuff, the Bible. Because it's been around for 4,000 years plus. It's literally the book that all other books stand upon. It's probably a smart thing to have read it once in my 100-year life span. I think that's a good idea. I think that's pretty smart. Considering it's been around for 4,000 years and people are around basically 100 years, give or take, I think it's pretty smart. Smart move. So that's what we're doing here. Come one, come all. Doesn't matter what you believe. Doesn't matter what you think. Only thing that matters is can you listen? Because those people, and the one thing that I know about those people, the ancient people, the people that lived before us, I know for certain they were not fools. They were not dumb cavemen. That's wrong on every metric. Because if you think they were, try and build a pyramid with copper. That's all I'm saying. And that wasn't even 4,000 years ago, according to science. So, who knows? But what I do know is they kept pretty meticulous records. Whether you believe them or not is interpretable. But they're there, and they've existed for this long. I defy you to write something down on a piece of paper and see how long it lasts. Would it be a week? A couple days? Will you misplace it immediately? Will it last 4,000 years verbatim? I don't know. But I do know that this text did. And how do I know it was verbatim? Well, because we found some copies of it from other sources, and they match specifically. So that's pretty impressive. I don't know anybody that can do that. Stephen King can't do that. In another 100 years, nobody will know that name. But they all know Jesus' name, even the people that don't believe in him. Another thing that I find impressive is that if you go to any academic worth his salt, worth his weight in gold, anyone, and they'll be an atheist because that's all they'll let into academia these days. You walk up to that hardened atheist that absolutely believes in evolution and God can't possibly exist and ask him, did Jesus Christ exist? And he'll say, yeah, he did. How do you know that? There's too much evidence. I can't deny it. Really? I thought he was a shaman in a little village. No. The Romans were around, and they don't play with records. And they recorded him. And Josephus recorded him. And many other people recorded the events that took place around him. Now, what is the only thing that matters when it comes to believing whether or not Jesus was a real person? That would be his resurrection, because that's what everything in the book hangs on. If that's not true, none of it's true. Can you prove that? Well, I can't disprove it. Well, what does that mean? You can't disprove a negative. No, but I can prove that everybody that was there thought that that's what happened. Everybody, including the Romans, including the non-believers, including people that downright hated and wanted to kill Jesus, all agreed that it happened. Okay, well, that's called a document, and we use that in a court of law to prove something happened. If you have a document, it's verifiable. And we have a very large source of documents. Now, for comparison, the book Homer wrote, the Odyssey, we might have 3 copies of that, maybe. We've got 11,000 copies of Isaiah. You understand? See the difference? So it's not just hearsay. It's not just somebody's opinion. It's documented evidence. And when I said 11,000, I meant individual, separate source, first documents that would hold up in a court of law. That's good enough for me. That's why I dive into it, and that's why I read it verbatim and then try to understand it and then explain it. And I think that everybody benefits from it. ATL, what's up, my buddy? Good to see you. Caucasian says, I wrote the greatest American novel, but I misplaced it. That's kind of like what I'm talking about. Cray? Who's Cray? I'm not Cray. Had just killed Jesus. Oh, the Romans kept perfect records. Yes, they did. And they recorded that everybody thought that Jesus resurrected from the dead, and they recorded that they put him in a tomb, and then they stayed there overnight. And while they were there, 6 Roman centurions fell asleep at the same time, which they get crucified if they do that. And they all admitted to falling asleep. And when they woke, the big 2,000-pound stone that was in front of the tomb was gone, and so was the body. They didn't even care whether Jesus existed or not. They just wanted to keep their prisoner in the tomb, the dead one. They were placed there because they thought that his disciples might try to steal the body. Nobody came to that camp. All of the disciples were in hiding. All of them. And accounted for. We know where they were. So, something happened, and it was enough to shake the foundation of believers and non-believers alike, and it's worth investigating if you ask me. What say you? Not perfect, but very, very, very good records. Okay. Well, that's interpretation. I say that any record is a perfect record if it lasts 2,000 years and still survives. They were bastards in record keeping, exactly. Hello. Hello back at you, buddy. Absolute bastards, that's true, says Caucasian. That's a bit suspect on its surface. What is? Yawking about bastards 2312 has something to say about it. I know it does. What do you find suspicious on the surface there, Caucasian? The fact that 6 Roman soldiers on pangs of being crucified agreed that they fell asleep on the job and a body disappeared that couldn't have disappeared without making a sound. Yeah, continuous sleep, that's what I thought. Yeah, it's suspicious, but it happened. And by the way, if you've ever seen the stone, which they've located, it was a couple of 100 yards away under a little house that was built there, like a pump house or a greenhouse or something. They now have the stone that goes in front of the tomb. If you've ever seen it, it weighs about 2,000 pounds. It's made of solid granite, and it has a hole in it where a spike is drawn through, and chains are on either side of it and spikes on either side of it. So there's a chain all the way across. It's called a Roman lock or a Roman seal. And then the lock mechanism has wax pressed into it. So if anybody tampers with it, they can see it. Well, they found the untampered with wax lock, and they found the chains, but the pins that were driven into the wall were all sheared off, as if somebody pushed the stone until it broke an iron spike. Sheared off. That didn't happen from the outside. There were 6 Roman soldiers there lightly taking a nap that would have woke up if something like that occurred. You know, unless they were drugged by the Holy Spirit or something. Anyway, it occurred. There's records of it. I'll be driving. Good. Driving and listening. If I talk really sweet, maybe I can get you to be driving and crying. No? Nobody? Sorry. Or Mary. Mary didn't do it, I promise. Which is another thing. If they were going to make up a story in that day and time, why would they get all women to corroborate it? Nobody listened to women. They weren't even supposed to be talking or out about without a chaperone, let alone holding up a story. Yet it's the women that profess to know what happened. That's not a smart move if you're trying to weave a narrative. It's actually the opposite of a smart move. The women were strong back then, but they were not free. That saved my tears for the shower. Amen, brother. God runs away from women. No, he does not. He invented them. Think about that. Think about that. God invented women. He made them from scratch, like an easy bake oven style. That means that everything that women are, God intended it that way. You should probably consider that. I do. All right. There's 5 of us here. Let's get going. If you got your Bibles handy, go down to chapter 23, verse 12 of the great book of Deuteronomy and crack it open, and let's get started. I don't think he ran. I think they were in the same room together. Maybe you need to read that one again. God's not a runner. Again, he created all of this by thinking about it. And then it popped into existence. Nothing in it is going to scare him. But I appreciate where you're coming from. All right. That's suspect. Is it? I don't think so. I've got proof. Chapter 23, verse 12. Let's go. Thou shalt have a place also without the camp, whither thou shalt go forth abroad. That means to go out and have a poo. That's what they're talking about there. Thou shalt have a paddle upon thy weapon, and it shall be, when thou wilt ease thyself abroad, thou shalt dig therewith, and shalt turn back and cover that which cometh from thee. Why? Everybody knows you don't crap where you eat. It's common sense. That's why. For the Lord thy God walketh in the midst of thy camp to deliver thee, and you don't want him stepping in it. That's what they're saying. And to give up thine enemies before thee. Therefore shall thy camp be holy, that he see no unclean thing in thee, and turn away from thee. That's where you're talking about God being a runner. He don't like dirtiness. He will walk away. Calmly, probably, but he will walk away from you if he sees filth in you, if he sees uncleanness in you. You can't come to God if you yourself are filthy. Only holiness can be in his presence. Think about that when you're considering your own temple. This one. Thou shalt not deliver unto his master the servant which is escaped from his master unto thee. He shall dwell with thee, even among you, in the place which he shall choose in one of thy gates, where it liketh him best. Thou shalt not oppress him. What? I thought you said that God condoned slavery. This doesn't sound like it. Just so you know, to be clear about what I just read, what he's saying is that if you have a servant and that servant escapes, doesn't want to be there, you shall not oppress him. Let him go. And more than that, let him build a house inside your gates, because that's where he likes to be. He just doesn't want to be a servant. Thou shalt not oppress him, says the Bible from God's mouth to Moses. There shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel. So if you're one of the 12 tribes of Israel, it's probably not a good idea to be gay or to be a whore, because God don't like it. And why is that? Because the 12 tribes of Israel, especially at this time, saw God with their own eyes. They don't have the luxury of making those kinds of mistakes. Yes, ATL, slavery was accepted by man in those days. It was a trade school, and most people that were slaves put themselves there for servitude so that they could work off a wage or work off a debt or gain some status in life. Because if you were a servant of a big house, you could work your time there and then become part of that family, because that's the way it is. Because all slavery has a time limit. It is not a forever thing. In those days, we only know about one kind of slavery in this country, but slavery happens all over the world. And it's happening right now, today. Or get married. You're right. You're right. That's another way. But the Bible does not condone slavery, but it does give a guideline how to do it properly if that's what you're going to do. It's a if, not a do. You know, it's not a commandment. But people do, I've heard that argument many times. Well, God condones slavery and rape. No, he doesn't. Rape gets the same penalty as murder, by the way. And we just read that in this book. So I don't know if we're going to cover it again. I kind of went back up a little bit because I got sidetracked last night. But I think it's before this. But it gives the penalty for somebody caught raping, and it's the same as murdering somebody. So it does not support that either. People will say all kinds of things to get you to doubt the Bible, and most of them are successful. Don't listen. Thou shalt not bring the hire of a whore or the price of a dog into the house of the Lord thy God for any vow. For even both these are abomination unto the Lord thy God. What is an abomination? Anything God hates is an abomination, including snowmen. God hates snowmen. It's in the Bible, I'm telling you. But if you are of the 12 tribes of Israel, and if you regularly go to the tabernacle, which is for the 12 tribes of Israel, God's chosen, you can't even purchase a whore or bring the money that you would use to purchase a whore into the tabernacle. That's how rigid and stringent the rules are. Rigid. I said rigid. Stringent and rigid. Thou shalt not lend upon usury to thy brother. Usury of money, or usury of victuals, or usury of anything that is lent upon usury. What is usury? Interest. That's what it is. If I loan you $20, I don't expect you to give me that $20 back. I certainly don't expect you to give me 25 back. That's usury. And you're not to do that. You are to give to your brother, not lend to your brother. Unto a stranger thou mayest lend upon usury. If they're not of the 12 tribes, then you can do that, and you can make a profit. It's okay. But not unto thy brother. But unto thy brother thou shalt not lend upon usury, that the Lord thy God may bless thee in all that thou settest thine hands to in the land whither thou goest to possess it. It's very simple. Why don't you give your brother money and then expect interest back? Well, because he's part of your family. And in those days, family mattered. And if all of your family does well, then all of your family does well. That's how it works. You lift each other up. You make each other better. You don't cause debt in your family, because that makes it worse, not better. It was a family affair to run an estate. Still should be. When thou shalt vow a vow unto the Lord thy God, thou shalt not slack to pay it. If you make a swear, if you swear, I promise you I'll pay you back Wednesday, you better do it, because a swear unto God is permanent, and you're supposed to keep that. And he does keep a track of those things. For the Lord thy God will surely require it of thee, and it would be sin in thee. What does that mean? That means that if you vow something to somebody and don't keep it, God kept a record of it because you made a vow in his name. And if you don't pay it back, it becomes a sin to you. It's not a salvation issue, but it is a sin to you. It is a mark against you. That which is gone out of thy lips, thou shalt keep and perform. Do what you say you're going to do. Even a free will offering, according as thou hast vowed unto the Lord thy God, which thou hast promised with thy mouth. Even something free. If you promise it, you keep it. You keep that promise. Simple as that. Your word is your bond. It's the only thing you have that's of value. Make sure you keep it valuable. When thou comest into thy neighbor's vineyard, then thou mayest eat grapes thy fill at thine own pleasure. But thou shalt not put any in thy vessel. What does that mean? Well, it means if you go over to your buddy's house, you can drink all the beer you want, but don't take any home with you, because that's stealing. He invited you, which means he has provisions for you. He wouldn't have invited you if he couldn't have taken care of you. So you're welcome to drink all the beer you want, because that's why the beer's there. But you don't then fill your truck up with beer and leave, because that's disrespectful. It's obvious. When thou comest into the standing corn of thy neighbor, then thou mayest pluck the ears with thine hand. But thou shalt not move a sickle unto thy neighbor's standing corn. It's okay for you to get a bushel of corn. It's not okay for you to harvest his field. See the difference? It's his work. It's his profit. You can get you a bushel. Yeah, that's what it's there for. You're supposed to leave the corners anyway for the people, so that everybody gets to eat. You get the profit for having a field. They get the profit for living near a field. It's simple. But they shouldn't come cut your field down and then glean all the profit. That would be stealing, and it would also be disrespectful. When a man had taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, he doesn't think she's hot, because he hath found some uncleanness in her. Or maybe she's got herpes, and he don't want to do it one way or the other. Then let him write her a bill of divorcement, and give it in her hand, and send her out of the house, out of his house. Does the Bible say that once you're married, you must always be married? Does the Bible say that divorce is a sin? No, it does not. That is a tradition of man's Puritanism that is not biblical. Here it is, right here. If you find your wife to be unclean, now that is a provision. You can't just divorce her because you would rather trade down a model. She has to have done something wrong or have something wrong with her so that she can't bear you children or give you wifely duties. Then you can write her a bill of divorcement if she cheats on you, something like that. But there it is, chapter 24, verse 1, for all of you divorcee naysayers. Look, if you're divorced, you are living in sin, but ask for forgiveness and move forward, and then it's not a sin anymore because God will forgive you. And he also understands the world in which we currently live. Kind of hard to keep a wife these days. And when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife. Why? Because she's free and clear. She got a divorce. She doesn't live with you anymore, so she can go live with somebody else. And likewise, it's okay for you. And if the latter husband hate her, if her problem is, contiguous, and write her a bill of divorcement and giveth it in her hand, and sendeth her out of his house, or if the latter husband die, which took her to be his wife, her former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife. After that, she is defiled. She's been with two guys now. You put her in this position, so you can't make it worse. That's pretty common sense. For that is abomination before the Lord, and thou shalt not cause this land to sin, which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance. It's pretty easy stuff. When a man hath taken a new wife, he shall not go out to war, neither shall he be charged with any business, but he shall be free at home 1 year, and shall cheer up his wife, translation, make her pregnant, which he hath taken. Cheer up. That's such colorful language. Why? Because you have to build a family. That's the whole purpose in marriage, is to build a family. That's why men and women get together. I don't know if you were aware of that or not, but it's a thing. It's an old thing, but it's a thing. And you can't go off and be killed in a war because you haven't had a chance to make a family yet. So you get a year. This is during a time of war, by the way, so that makes sense. There's like you can't draft an only child because there's nobody to carry on the family name. I apologize. I have to take care of something real quick. Enjoy this song, and I will be right back. Sorry about that. That snuck up on me. Did I miss anything? If you mess with a woman with a child, it is extra death for you. You must leave a mother and child separate and alone and in peace. I'll have to read that one. I can't disagree with you there because it may very well say that. I can't remember. But I do know it's not good to be alone. It's not good to raise a child without a father. So if you could stand in and become that child's father, there's no harm in that in my book. What is this world coming to when you can't bring a whore to church, right? that's in families, though. I thought interest to strangers. Yes, you can charge interest to strangers, but you can't charge your brother or your cousin for interest. Because families take up a village to raise a lineage, an actual dynasty or an actual empire or an actual estate, however you want to look at it. It takes a whole family to make that work, and you vie for power in different places. The whole point is to get wealthy, to get well off. If you can't do that, I mean, you can't do that by, dunning your brother for interest if you loan him $100, whatever. Your job as a brother is to help him succeed, and his success will thereby make you more successful. That's the idea. No man shall take the nether or the upper millstone to pledge, for he taketh a man's life to pledge. This is something that is lost in translation. I don't exactly know what this means because we don't use this expression anymore. I would assume a millstone is a thing that you use to grind wheat or flour. And there's two, one on top, one on bottom. You put the grain in there and you put the two stones together and grind. That's what a millstone is. So I would assume that if you take either one of those, the mill doesn't work anymore. I think that's what that means. You can't take that for a man's life as a pledge. A pledge is giving someone a token that proves you're going to make good on some promise. I guess that's what that means. You'll have to check me on that one. I don't know. If a man be found stealing any of his brethren of the children of Israel, and maketh merchandise of him, or selleth him, then that thief shall die, and thou shalt put evil away from among you. Now, when have we heard this story before? Jacob was sold into slavery, right? Did his brothers die? No, they were lifted up because Jacob had mercy on them, and he loved them despite of their wickedness. God saw that, and he didn't like it. And as far as stealing from your brother or any of the children of Israel, I wouldn't do that either. They are God's chosen people. That means he's looking out for them. And if you steal from one of them, it's probably going to come back on you pretty hard. I'm just guessing. Take heed in the plague of leprosy. No duh. Wash your hands and don't, social distance. That thou observe diligently and do according to all that the priests, the Levites, shall teach you. As I commanded them, so ye shall observe to do. Basically, social distance, wear a mask, wash your hands. You get the idea. You don't want to get leprosy. That's some nasty stuff. Remember what the Lord thy God did unto Miriam by the way. After that, ye were come forth out of Egypt. Do you remember what they did in Miriam? Or did to Miriam? Go back and read the Exodus of Egypt if you don't know. When thou dost lend thy brother anything, this is the second time for emphasis, thou shalt not go into his house to fetch his pledge. You can't repossess the thing you lent him. Why? Because he's your brother. Your job is to make him successful, help him be successful. Teach him what he doesn't know. Help him when he screws up. Mentor your brother if you're the wise one. But you don't repossess his car because he didn't pay off the loan. That's your brother. That's family. Now, if it's a stranger, by all means, go get your property. Thou shalt stand abroad, and the man to whom thou dost lend shall bring out the pledge abroad unto thee. Go to the house and stand there. Outside. Don't go in. The man knows he owes you money. Just stand there. Remind him gently. He'll pay you if he has it. If he doesn't have it, he'll give you an excuse. But all you have to do is show up. He knows he owes you money. And if the man be poor, thou shalt not sleep with his pledge. That's not what it sounds like. That means that you should not give him a time limit to pay his pledge. You know he's poor. You know he can't pay you right now. When he gets it, he'll pay you. In any case, thou shalt deliver him the pledge again when the sun goeth down. You give him a full day to recover. You don't go in and give him a time limit. Doesn't mean you're not going to get paid back. It just means you can't dun him. I'm speaking Southern now, but you get what I'm saying. You go again when the sun goes down. That's tomorrow. That he may sleep in his own raiment and bless thee. And it shall be righteousness unto thee before the Lord thy God, that you showed mercy to your brother who owes you money and allowed him to sleep in his own bed with his own clothes on without making him have to get up and go pay you. That's righteousness. That's mercy. And God always approves of that. Thou shalt not oppress an hired servant that is poor and needy. Don't hire people that are poor and needy unless you want to help them not be poor and needy anymore. It's as simple as that. If you give somebody a job that's poor and needy, they'll work really hard for you because they're poor and needy. But they're easy to take advantage of. Don't do that. Don't oppress them because they have no power. Allow them the opportunity to gain power and watch your business flourish, because people trust you when you do that. People work harder for you when you show loyalty. If you give an employee the feeling like he has a stake in the company, he builds that company for you. You don't have to do anything. That's smart. Whether he be of thy brethren or of thy strangers that are in thy land within thy gates. At his day thou shalt give him his hire, neither shall the sun go down upon it. You pay him that day. You don't let the sun go down and not pay him. You know he's poor and needy. Give him his money. He worked for it. Let him have it. For he is poor, and he setteth his heart upon it. He needs that money. Lest he cry against thee unto the Lord. If that man don't get his money that he worked for, that he needs to eat, because you don't want to pay him on time, and that man happens to say a prayer to God and mentions you, guess what? And it be a sin unto thee, not to me, to thee. You are going to pay for that. God don't like you treating his people badly. So if you hire somebody and you know they're poor and needy when you hire them, you make sure they get paid on time the money that they're owed without question, because that is a sin to yourself. It'll hurt you, is what I'm saying, if you don't do it. The fathers shall not be put to death for the children. This is the beginning of the end of the generational plagues that we talked about before. This is the first time it's mentioned right here in Deuteronomy. Before this, God could punish a whole generation for something somebody did. Up to the 4th generation or 5th generation. They say it all the time. No more after this. This is the end of that. Because he saw that punishing people who were not guilty doesn't help the situation. So God fixed it. Neither shall the children be put to death for the fathers. Every man shall be put to death for his own sin. Every man is guilty of what he does, not what somebody else does. Thou shalt not pervert the judgment of the stranger, nor of the fatherless, nor take a widow's raiment to pledge. In those days, when you made a promise to somebody, you would accept a token, maybe your jacket, maybe your shoes, maybe something valuable to you, like a collateral. You can't do that with a widow. You don't take her collateral. That's all she has. And she doesn't have a future without a husband. So you don't take her collateral. Give her what she needs, period. The Bible throughout recommends taking care of widows and fatherless and poor. Throughout. You do not take advantage of those people. God has a real soft spot for those people. But thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondsman in Egypt, and the Lord thy God redeemed thee thence. Therefore I command thee to do this thing. What? Translation. Hey, did you forget you were once a slave? Did you forget already what that felt like? Do you not know what it means to be oppressed? Do you not know what it means to be powerless? Well, if you do, you don't treat somebody who's in that condition the way you were treated. Don't forget you were once a bondsman. And I, the Lord God, redeemed you with my power. You didn't deserve it, but I did it anyway. I redeemed you, says God. Therefore, as I command you, you do. You don't treat other people like they're slaves because you were a slave. That's common sense, and it's good common sense. When thou cuttest down thine harvest in thy field, and hast forgot a sheaf in the field, thou shalt not go again to fetch it. It shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow, that the Lord thy God may bless thee in all the work of thy hands. Everything you do, you leave the leftovers for the people who need it, and God will always bless you for it. Always. Everything you do will be functional. Everything you do will work if you do that. Take care of the needy, and God will bless you for it. If you give, you receive. That's how it works, not the other way around. Hey, Kev, about time y'all made it. Come on in. Take your shoes off. We are at Gators. I figured. When thou beatest thine olive tree, when you go and pick your olives, thou shalt not go over the boughs again. Don't pick your trees twice. Pick them once, and whatever's left over, let other people come and get it. It shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow. When thou gatherest the grapes of thy vineyard, thou shalt not glean it afterwards. It shall be for the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow. Always make sure there's a little left over on your plants to feed the hungry. Always make sure you got a couple dollars left over to help the poor. Always make sure you support your local podcaster who is teaching you everything he knows with the gusto of 1,000 pastors, because he's hungry and he needs your help too. And thou shalt remember. This is the Spock version of the Bible. Thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondsman in the land of Egypt. Therefore I command thee to do this thing. It says it over and over and over and over again. God wants you to be available to help with the poor, and then you don't have a poor people problem like we do today because our government does nothing for the poor. Kevin says, Jake, I'm sorry, I have lost my phone, or somebody stole it at the festival last night. They canceled the show, and it poured down rain and thunder and lightning, and Ella, my dog, was a mess. Or, my God, it was a mess. Well, I'm glad you're here, whether it be on your phone or Kevin's. It occurred to me last night when you sent me that text that maybe God didn't want you missing Bible study, so maybe you should watch concerts on Saturday, and that won't happen. I don't know if that's right or not. That's just what popped into my head, and I'm being honest about it. There you go. If there be a controversy between men, and they come unto judgment. This is small claims court, by the way. That the judges may judge them, then they shall justify the righteous and condemn the wicked. Well, if you can't resolve the problem amongst yourself, the first thing you're supposed to do is go to the priests or preachers or elders of your community And if he can't resolve the issue for you, then you take the man to court and sue him. If that happens, the judge has full right to judge the wicked and praise the righteous or reward the righteous. And it's his job to discern who that is. Whether he's right or wrong, it's his place to do that. But you put yourself in that position. I don't want you to forget that part. Don't make deals that end you up in small claims court, and you won't have to worry about that. And it shall be, if the wicked man be worthy to be beaten, that the judge shall cause him to lie down and to be beaten before his face, according to his fault, by a certain number. Meaning, you have to have limits. You can't beat the guy to death, obviously. That wouldn't do anybody any good. Nobody's going to get anything out of him then. But there's enough beating that qualifies as a punishment, and that you take. 40 stripes he may give him, and not exceed, lest if he should exceed and beat him above these with many stripes, then thy brother should seem vile unto thee. Yeah, I reckon so. That's called abuse, not punishment. See, the thing is most people know when they've done something wrong, they deserve the punishment that's coming to them. Most people know that instinctually. And 40 stripes may seem harsh to us now, but in those days, that was you're getting off pretty light with 40 whacks with a switch. You're going to be hurting for a while, but you'll learn your lesson and you won't do that again. Or for fear of being beaten again, one or the other. It doesn't matter. The end result is the same. You don't do it again. Therefore, evil stops among you. I kind of wish they'd bring that back a little bit. Although most of us are worthy of a ass whooping and probably would get it. I'm not looking forward to that, but I'm just saying I'm looking forward to the days when evil stops. Good evening, Walter Davis. Welcome to the show. Come on in. Thou shalt not muzzle the ox when he treadeth out the corn. Why? Because he's got to breathe and drink and that sort of thing. And if you muzzle him, he's not going to be able to get his gusto up to do your treading. If brethren dwell together, and one of them die, and have no child, the wife of the dead shall not marry without unto a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go in unto her. Why? Because it's a family, and families are important. And when your brother dies and the woman has no children, which means he didn't knock her up, it falls to you to do so. And that's good. There's no wrong in that. However, he has to take her as a wife, too. Not just provide her for children, but he has to take care of her as well, because she's in the family. She took the surname. She's part of the family. So it's the family's job to provide for family. That's why this is the way it is for the 12 tribes of Israel. And perform the duties of an husband's brother unto her, which is to make her pregnant. That's what you're there for. All the rest is to just make sure they're taken care of. And it shall be that the firstborn which she beareth shall succeed in the name of his brother which is dead. See, the brother goes in and knocks her up and then gives their firstborn his brother's last name. Not his. It's probably the same name, but you get my point. Son of John, not son of Joe. Whatever. Why? So that his family line can carry on. That's why. So that the line doesn't end with his death. It's the brotherly thing to do. And when you have a brother, you know you guys are pretty close in bond. Your DNA is very similar, which is why it works. Because when you get married, you become one flesh. Well, the brother's flesh is a substitute for the brother. It's not as good. It's not as close, but it's close enough to get the bloodline going. You see what I'm saying? That's why that is. that his name be not put out of Israel. That's why, to keep the bloodline going. And if the man like not to take his brother's wife, if she's a bitch and you just can't stand her, then let his brother's wife go up to the gate unto the elders and say, My husband's brother refuseth to raise up unto his brother a name in Israel. He will not perform the duty of my husband's brother. So, if you're that kind of judgmental dude and you don't want to take her to wife or do your job as a brother and get her pregnant, then she's allowed to go tattletale on you and make you look stupid in front of everybody because you ain't man enough to handle what your brother left behind. That's pretty rough if you ask me. Then the elders of his city shall call him and speak unto him undoubtedly in public. And if he stand to it and say, I like not to take her, then shall his brother's wife come unto him in presence of the elders, and loose his shoe from off his foot, which is an old Hebrewism to meaning you have been released, and spit in his face in public, no less, and shall answer and say, So shall it be done unto that man that will not build up his brother's house? Yes, April is here. Somebody is texting me to pieces. Who is it? Oh, nice fan. Kind of busy right now, buddy. But I'll get to you. But that's a nice van. I need an RV expert, electrical stuff. I'll take a look at it if you need it. Notice what this woman is doing. She is humiliating this man in front of God and everybody. She is herself releasing him from his duty in public. She spits in his face and then says he ain't man enough to handle what his brother had in front of everybody. That's what you get for not doing your job. Do your job is what I'm saying. Bang your sister-in-law. Sister-in-law, sorry. Yes, Walter, she's hiding inside Kevin's phone, says Caucasian. And his name shall be called in Israel, the house of him that hath his shoe loosed. Think about that. The house of the man that couldn't swing it. The no pipe laying mofo that lives in that house over there. Everybody's going to know who he is. I'm telling you, do your job and bang your sister-in-law. Sister-in-law. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Tell me God doesn't have a sense of humor. Wow. When men strive together one with another, and the wife of the one draweth near, for to deliver her husband out of the hand of him that smiteth him, and putteth forth her hand, and taketh him by the secret place, or his nuts, by the way, then thou shalt cut off her hand. Thine eye shall not pity her. What? This is God saying, when two men are fighting, you stay out of it. Don't go up and get involved because you're liable to get smacked, or you're liable to turn on the guy who's defending you or whatever reason they're fighting. Don't get involved. And if you happen to reach up and grab him by the gonads, you should have your hand cut off, because that ain't funny for anybody. And you shouldn't be pitied for it because you knew better. Don't get involved. Thou shalt not have in thy bag divers weights, great and small. What does that mean? If you're a merchant, per se, and somebody says, I'd like to buy a pound of bread, and you reach in your bag and you get a little less than a pound weight and put on the scale, and you put a little less than a pound of bread up there and it measures a pound, and then you give it to your customer and say, there you go. It'll be 50 shekels, whatever. you are a criminal. You are not to have diverse weights. A pound needs to weigh a pound. A foot needs to be a foot. It ain't just for weights, it's for measures too. Don't rip off your customers. It's a simple thing, great and small. You shouldn't add to the weight. You shouldn't take away from the weight. Thou shalt not have in thine house diverse measures, a great and a small. Same thing. But thou shalt have a perfect and just weight. A perfect and just measure shalt thou have, that thy days may be lengthened in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Yes, I do get what you mean. For all that do such things, and all that do unrighteously, are an abomination unto the Lord thy God. If you cheat somebody with your unjust ways and measures, you are an abomination to God. He does not like a cheat. Be earnest, be right, and sell for the right price the thing the person thinks he's buying. Remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way, when you were come forth out of Egypt. If you don't know what Amalek did, go back and read the Exodus of Egypt in the first part of these books, and you will get what Amalek did. And we covered it when we crossed it. How he met thee by the way, and smote the hindmost of thee. Meaning he swatted them on the ass as they walked by, made them get on out of here. Get on out of here. Even all that were feeble behind thee, when thou wast faint and weary, and he feared not God. So you don't forget that guy. Remember what he did. Therefore it shall be, when the Lord thy God hath given thee rest from all thine enemies round about, in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. Kill them all. Thou shalt not forget it. See what I'm saying? That's what happens when you refuse a man of God. Think I'm wrong? Try it. Try me. If you refuse the man of God when he asks for your help, this is what you got coming to you. Don't forget that. Keep it burned in your brain, because there will come a time when a man of God comes up to you, and you need to be receptive of that man. What is your issue? I have no issue. Oh, you're talking to Sasquatch. Never mind. Is it your input AC or your DC? Welcome to Electronics 101, folks. We're not studying the Bible or anything. Go ahead. You have the floor. And it shall be, when thou art come unto the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance, and possess it, and dwell therein, that thou shalt take of the first of all the fruit of the earth, which thou shalt bring of thy land, that the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shalt put it in a basket, and shalt go unto the place which the Lord thy God shall choose to place his name there. That's the temple, the holy temple. What is God saying here? Well, notice that they didn't have to build this land or conquer it. It was given to them, complete with cities and houses and farms and chickens and dogs and goats and pigs and cows and rivers and honeybees and all that you need. It was given this 12 tribes of Israel, these so many millions of people. They moved into the houses. They didn't build them. They moved into the cities. They did not build them. They inherited the land. So God said, the first fruit, the first harvest you have, the first income that comes from this land I gave you, you put it in a basket and bring it to the tabernacle for the people so that everybody has some. I've given you all of this. I'm only asking that you give a little bit back. Think about what's in your life. Are you tithing to the place where you're taught? Do you help other people when they need it? Are you a profitable human being? And if that is the case, what are you giving back? Because it's required of you. That's just the way it is. You don't deserve it otherwise. And the priest shall take the basket out of thine hand and set it down before the altar of the Lord thy God. And thou shalt speak and say before the Lord thy God, a Syrian ready to perish was my father. And he went down into Egypt and sojourned there with a few, and became there a nation great and mighty and populous. And the Egyptians evil entreated us, and afflicted us, and laid upon us hard bondage. They made us slaves while we were there. That's what we got for being prosperous. We cried unto the Lord God of our fathers. The Lord heard our voices, and looked on our affliction, and on our labor, and our oppression. And the Lord brought us forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand, and with an outstretched arm, and with great terribleness, and with signs, and with wonders. And he hath brought us to this place, and hath given us this land, even a land that floweth with milk and honey. And here's a little bit of mine to give back. That's what he's saying. And now, behold, I have brought the first fruits of the land, which thou, O Lord, thou hast given it to me. I'm showing you appreciation for what you've given me by giving back to you, by bringing it to the church. And thou shalt set it before the Lord thy God, and worship before the Lord thy God, and thou shalt rejoice in every good thing which the Lord thy God hath given unto thee, and unto thine house, you and the Levites, and the stranger that is among you. The Levites are the priests, by the way. So not only should you worship, they should worship. And so should the strangers among you, people that aren't part of the 12 tribes. That's us, the Gentiles. So even back here, the Gentiles were kind of included. Kind of. But Jesus made it a thing by adopting Paul into his ministry. And that's where we're going to stop for today, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to pick up next week, 26:12. What an intense, fantastic read that was tonight. I really, truly hope you learned something. I hope that it touched your heart. I hope that it caused you to be interested in the Word of God, caused you to reach deeper, to find more understanding and more meaning from His Word. And I hope that you all join me every week for this very thing. Sepsin Trichnosis. There's a name I hadn't seen in a while. Hey, buddy, good to see you, my friend. Welcome back. Won't you guys please do an old man of the cloth a favor? And hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon so you get notifications of when I'm going to be online and when my new videos drop. Smash that like button. It's free. It's effortless. It's right in front of you, and all you got to do is reach out and touch it, and it really does help the channel with the algorithms. Helps us get recommended to other people. Won't you do that, please? Share this video with somebody you love. Better yet, share it with somebody you don't love. Bring them into the family. Make them part of the fold. Be part of their solution, not part of their problem. Leave comments down below and let me know what you're thinking about. Question me, curse me, bless me, challenge me, confront me, conform with me, drink my Kool-Aid. Make your own Kool-Aid. As long as you're thinking critical, that's what I want. And hey, if you love the Word of God and you can see the value in what I'm trying to build here, and you feel led to send your tithes, offerings, or love offerings, or if you just like to pat me on the back and say, hey, nice job, Jake, I get what you're doing here, and I want to help, you can do that. You can support my work by going to paypal.me/JakeJohnsonBand, or if you're a CashApp user, you can go to $JakeJohnsonBand. Every little bit helps. It's a win-win. It's a blessing to me, but it's a blessing to you too, because God notices these things. We do live in a reciprocal universe. And now, I will do everything in my power to be worthy of your support and confidence, but now I will round out this show by answering all of your questions and comments. How about that? I may not be in chat, but I usually am watching. That's all I care about, Sepsin. That's between you and God, and I hope that that's working for you. But I do like to hear from you from time to time, because I do consider you a buddy. Come on in. Talk to me every now and then, especially when it's slow. I have a problem with tithing to a church. Well, I'm sorry. I don't go to any church. Well, then you don't need to tithe to one. But by the way, you're in church right now. I would, but don't go. I help homeless and foster kids, but that's not the 10% laid out, but usually broke because of it. Listen, man, if you're helping foster kids and you're truly doing a good thing for them, that's all I would ever ask of you. That's more than most people would do. That's a beautiful thing. There is no wrong in that. Now, if you got a little money and you want to tithe to the place where you're taught, I could use some money. Send it my way. Doesn't matter how much. That's not the point. The point is obedience. Showing obeisance to your Father who gave you such that you have. That's the whole idea. Other than that, this is a free show. Nobody's asked you to be required. However, the whole point in tithing is to keep the church up. So if you're a member of a church, you tithe 10%. You are not required to tithe 10% if you are visiting a church. See the difference? Members tithe. Simple as that. I hope that helps. Don't feel bad. More beer, says Sepsin. And guess what? We got ourselves a genuine, bona fide, USDA-approved, no Bud Light sports update from Kevin Cox. Hockey. The playoffs started today. Nope, that ain't what that says. Straight it with a big capital T. The playoffs started for the NHL. Tampa Bay Badass Lightning take on the Toronto Maple Syrup Leaves. I think that's too many things. In game 1 of 7. Other games in your region, go Bolts. There's games everywhere. I don't know anything about them. Hey, Sepsin, opening the boat this week. You coming aboard? I do so enjoy the show. Thank you, Sepsin. I so enjoy you being here. At Walter Davis, can't. Got court and will be down south for a bit. Well, good luck with that, buddy. If there's anything you need, let me know. I'll pray for you. Give them hell for wasting your time in court. I agree. Sepson says, Jake, you have got me closer to God than I have been in quite some time, and I thank you, sir. Sepson. You know. Soon I will be able to tithe and show Jake some love, other than being an idiot in chat. Hey, being an idiot in chat, I need that too. So you're doing fine. Don't you worry about it. Kevin says, I'm at Gators, but I will tell them for the next 15 minutes we are in church. Of course, it is a Methodist church because the bar is open. Well, it is a non-denominational church. I claim no such title because my Bible didn't come with a set of party lines. But if a Methodist is what you are, then so be it. You can hear, can't you? And church is over, by the way. Now this is just reading stuff. I was a Methodist for a while, says Walter. Hi, Sepson. It's April. I just want to say much love. I lost my phone. Oh, that's the one. But it's me, and Kevin is here, and I love you. I love you guys. Everyone, have a good night. I thought you were here, and now you're talking about leaving. Well, y'all have been just all about just abandoning me this weekend, ain't you? I hope you guys are having a good time. I'm just giving you a hard time. Don't worry about me. Sepson says, ahoy, Kevin and April. Walter says, every month. I think next month will be the good one. Still just scraping by. Again, don't worry about it. You're doing fine, Walter. You do more than I will ever be able to do for the service of the Lord. If, and I only say if because I know there's some real creeps out here in the world, and I don't know you personally. Don't take offense to that. But if you are truly doing what you say you're doing for these children, that is more of a gift than anything I have ever done. You are, in fact, a better soldier than I am. And I'm giving you full props for that. I would tithe to you if I had it. Walter says, when I get Jake on board doing a harbor concert, I hope everyone comes out. Me too. I wouldn't want to play for nobody. He's not a Methodist. Y'all, by the way, it's April. I don't even know what entails a Methodist. I don't even know what that means. Do they do meth in the church? Because if so, I might be down. I do have some lovely Pyrex tubes, though, that are devoid of any meth. I'm just saying. Anyway. I'll get my new phone. I'll get my new phone in 2 days. 2 or 3 days. Well, you just take your time and hopefully yours will turn up. I know how that feels. I've lost a phone before, too, while I was riding a motorcycle, and I drove back and forth for 3 days trying to find it, and it was a white phone, and I could not find it. That sucks, I know. And it was a good one, too. It's one of those nice Galaxy ones. Just slipped right out of my pocket, so I understand. I just get some family stuff straightened out, says Sepson. Should be done by midsummer. I'm not exactly comfortable simply watching the man that has helped me and get back to God. That's entirely your business, buddy. That's between you and God. I'm just saying that it's a necessity, and I preach what the Bible says, and that's what was in it today. So, and every time it brings it up, I hammer on it because apparently God's trying to say something about it. That's the only reason. But I have never asked for a single dollar, not one. I've only let it be known that I have needs, and that's up to you guys, you know. That's between you and God. That ain't got nothing to do with me. My job is to do this, and that's what I'm doing. But I thank you for thinking that way. It means a lot to me that you're considering me. And believe me, that goes a long way, too. Just knowing that this is not easy for me. That this is not just me sitting around doing nothing. You know, that means a lot. You are an honest soul, Walter. We love you, says April. I don't know either, Jake. LOL. Jake deserves so much more than simple recognition. Well, I guess if I deserve it, it'll come my way, won't it? I'm happy just having people in chat, 5 years later. That's something. I don't care if I never made anything. If I touched a soul, I did my job. If I touch more than one, fantastic. That's another thorn in my crown removed, or whatever, however that works. It's not going to turn out that down in Fort Lauderdale, somewhere on the A1A, your phone might be down in Fort Lauderdale somewhere on the A1A. That's possible. I don't know. I hope you find it, but I understand. I understand that, Jake, says Sepson. I just can't until my stuff is straight. I hear you, brother. I'm not downing you. Not one bit. And sometimes when I say that, the whole message that I put at the end of my show, that's not directed at any one person. That's just putting it out there. That's why I never mention a dollar amount, because that's not up to me. That's up to God. Don't feel bad about that. You take care of you. I'll do just fine. However, if your ship comes in, don't forget old Jake. That's all I'm saying. It will, sir. Not for what I just said, but it's funny how that worked out. Walter says, there was a great preacher in a Methodist church for a while. I started plowing the snow because they couldn't pay for anyone. That's nice of you. For about 5 years before I walked inside. You went in, though, didn't you? It ever occurred to you that maybe God put that snow there just to pull you in? Maybe he's been talking to you a lot longer than I have. Maybe you should think about that. Sepson says, you have done so much more for me than you had to. Damn it, man. I am a bit too drunk to find that correct word. I hear you. I understand. And I'm grateful to be able to. I do feel bad about it, though. Please don't. Not too bad. Feel a little bad. Not too bad. April says, this weekend I got real serious with April. Oh, Kevin says, this weekend I got real serious with April and told her she needed to embrace her mistakes. And she gave me a hug. Oh. So she was embracing her mistake. I see what you did there. You didn't slip it by me that fast, old Kev. I'm pretty sharp. Walter Davis says, I never said I was plowing it. Some other contractor took credit. Finally, someone saw me. Well, here's the thing about that. If that's the reason you were doing it, so somebody would see you, that's not a good reason to do it. If you were doing it because it needed doing and no other reason, that's the reason to do it. That's where you get the blessing. Don't ever do things just so people see you do it. I'm not saying that's what you were doing. I'm just saying. The Bible says that when you pray, go into your room and go into your closet and close the door and pray in private. Don't run up and down the street where everybody can see how pious you are, praying to God and talking to God, because that's all about you. It ain't got nothing to do with God. You can apply that everywhere. LOLOLOL. ATL says, what did April do? She seems too nice to make mistakes. Jesus. You don't know April. But thank you for the compliment. She takes after me. I have been in knife fights with that girl. She's not capable of hurting somebody. The 80-year-old lady that was my landlord said she was going to walk to church because it wasn't plowed, and you took care of it. Think about what you did for her feet. Think about how much God will do for you because of what you did for her feet. April is a good person. She has no wrong in her. Damn, April. I think you might have some competition on your hands there, Kev. No, April is fabulous. 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 That's even her name. It's in her email anyway. But I like to joke with her about it because we've had some ups and downs, but they were all pleasant. It is funny, says Sepson. I can actually trace my life getting better to when I was invited to watch this show. I hadn't really thought about it until now. Thanks, Caucasian Sasquatch. And thank you, Jake. You are most welcome, my friend. You are welcome here anytime. And if you ever need me, here's my email address. Right here on the screen. Right there. Just shoot me a line and I'll be here for you. Day or night, 24/7. Always open this door. It's April. Kevin is out. Kevin is cut off, LOL. You can't cut me off. You don't know where I'm getting it from. Ooh, them's fighting words. If April did something, it wasn't her fault. They made her do it. That's not entirely untrue. April says, I didn't do anything. He is just saying that because he loves drama. Well, he is a lawyer. Simpson says, I got it and number to text. I got it and a number to text. Yes, you do. If you need me, holler. I'll come a-running. That's the rules. Walter says, I just did it because sometimes you got to break that law to feel alive. I was trespassing. That's all right. God won't hold you to that one. April is innocent. Innocent until proven guilty, maybe. Much love, honey, says Kevin Cox. Or says ATL. Sorry. April says y'all need to pick a phone. April says to ATL, much love, honey. Septon says, aye, and thank you, sir. For most women, they do wrong because they were backed into a corner. Not true. Most women do wrong because they were listening to a snake. Stop listening to snakes, ladies. April says, you're right, ATL. Wow, you hit the nail on the head. Still, stop listening to snakes, ladies. They'll tell you the wrong thing every time. Don't put that in your mouth. You don't know where that thing's been. Get your mind out of the gutter. I'm talking about fruit. But the one-eyed trouser snake is smart. Well, he thinks he is. He'll try to convince you he is. No. Terrible. Terrible. You guys are Randy crowd here. I'm so glad you guys are here. I love y'all so much. I hope you know that. I mean that. I love having this rapport, and it helps me be cathartic. It helps me do what I need to do, and I appreciate you for that. April says, hit like, subscribe, and sub, everybody. Share, and God bless everyone. It's April typing, y'all. Know the difference. Yes, I am, says Sepson. Love you too, Jake. No homo. No homo, bro. That's right. I love you guys, says April. Now, do me a favor if you would. I know this is an ask, but it's necessary. This I'm going to hold you to. open up a new tab or a new whatever you do on your phone and go over to rumble.com/UntetheredLive and hit the follow button over there. I need to get up to 25 subscribers on Rumble so that I can start live streaming there and get out from underneath the censorship of YouTube, because they're hitting me hard these days with copyright strikes or claims and taking my videos down and saying I can't say certain things, and I need an alternative. So please, rumble.com/UntetheredLive if you would, and follow me over there. It's free. If you don't have an account, you can set one up. You might need one anyway, because Rumble's the wave of the future. It's the next big thing. So go ahead and get that taken care of now. It takes about 2 minutes. No problem. April seems a little more coherent than Kevin. A little less bourbon than Kevin. Here's Kevin now, says April. I am already following on Rumble. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you. I will get you on Rumble. Thank you, ATL. I appreciate you, too. Tase YouTube. I'm trying. I'm trying. It's hard. But, as soon as I build a place that my followers will not have a fear to go to, that's what I'll do. I'm not going to leave everybody here on YouTube. I'll still put videos out on YouTube if I'm live streaming over there. But they just won't be live. But that way, if they take a video down, it's still up. And it's also on 11 other platforms. Spotify, iTunes, Google, Amazon, you name it. All the big names, iHeartRadio, we're there. Podcast too. Not just, if you just want to watch, listen instead of watch, that's available also. We are all going to hell if not for the generous forgiveness of the Lord. That's correct. Capitalize that, Lord. I figure if I can make him laugh enough, maybe he will let me get in heaven. I think you'll be surprised at what he'll be willing to do when he goes to judging you, because God is a merciful and loving God. He doesn't want to send you to hell, even though you deserve to go. He just wants you to know you deserve to go. Most of us will be in heaven, I promise you. Walter said, Sepson says, Walter, LOL. Gotcha, says Sepson. Thank you. Got to do what you got to do. Yes, I do. I'm trying. I want to build my thing right here on YouTube, but they won't let me. They're hurting me. So I got to have an alternative so they can't hold that over me. I'm not trying to go anywhere unless they force the issue. But I would much rather do it here. It's a bigger platform, and I already have an established presence here. I don't want to have to start over, but I will not be told I can't tell the truth. You're not going to do that. You see what's behind me? I believe in standing up and being your own man. I believe that right comes from God. You will not tell me not to tell the truth. Kevin says, April told me when we got together she was a full Navajo Indian. Translated in English, not a whole tribe. Emmett. iHeartRadio. Wow, yeah, we're there. You can go find me. If I can remember them all, hang on, I'll tell you. Yeah, YouTube does not seem to like creators much. They really don't. I am on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Prime, Google Podcasts, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podvine, Anchor.fm, Radio Public, Overcast, CastBox, Pocket Cast, Twitter, Getter, which is the redneck Twitter, and Facebook. That's where you can find the show. So go forth and find it and help me get away from the oppression. Because I'm trying to do something right here, something right and good, and it should always be allowed in America. America! Help me make church great again. I am running it. No, I'm just kidding. Let's go, Brandon. What? Okay, boys and girls, unfortunately, I have to get up in the wee hours in the morning and go to work again. So I'm going to get out of here and go to bed and rest up my weary little voice. YouTube is such an odd sight. One would think it would want all manner of creators. They used to, until they were overrun by leftists. But they seem to want none of the ones that make an actual difference, because they make an actual difference. They're trying to keep things status quo. They don't want to make a difference. They want to keep you dumb and well-fed so that you don't revolt. If you don't know the truth, you can't understand the truth. This is the world you live in. It's a fallen world. It will never get better. You need me. That's why I'm here. Yeah, Jesus trashed the entrance to the temple. That's my example. If it's wrong, trash it. Not popular with law enforcement. Amen, brother. Amen, brother. Jesus didn't just trash the entrance. He turned over their money-changing tables because they made church. They made it, they marketed it. They were selling forgiveness. They were accepting mite-infested birds and any manner of things and saying, you're absolved if you bring some stuff to me. That's the same thing the Catholic Church does. Jesus didn't like that. God's house is not a marketplace. That's why I'm not out there pushing this show like crack rock. I'm not a televangelist. God's house, wherever two or more are gathered in my name, there I shall also be, said Jesus Christ. This is God's house. It is not a marketplace. That's not to say there's not provision for a preacher to be taken care of. It's not the same thing as getting rich off of the poor. That's a different thing. And I'm trying very hard to walk that line and not do that. You should appreciate that. And if you think about it a minute, you would. Thank you, sir. Fair winds and following seas. Peace, chat. Sepson, anytime is a good time to see you, my friend. Come on back whenever you want to. I done told you once, you son of a gun. This is the best podcast on the internet. Come on, check us out. Oh, got us another sports update. Wrong button. Good, Kevin Cox. NBA playoffs started. Miami hot as heat beats the Milwaukee Bucks yesterday in Game 1. Go Heat. Back to you, Squatch. Good night, everybody. Thanks for your support. Walter says, take care, Sepson. You got my number. Reach out before you go south. Walter Davis, aye, I will. That's why I love you, Jake. That's why I love you too, Walter. Come on back anytime. We need it. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here and making the chat so interesting. You make my day every time I show up for work, and I appreciate that. It makes me put the hours in willingly. That means something. God bless you. God love you. Peace be with you, and good night. Thanks for watching.